Good morning. A very warm welcome this morning to Lockie Cunningham, one of the co-founders of SANS MATIN footwear brand. Thanks so much for joining us, Lockie.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tyler. That's really kind of you. Thanks for
No
having me.
worries.
Nice to be here.
Just as a brief intro, Lockie, you and your cousin Charlie first came up with the concept of a footwear brand whilst traveling around South America when you were 18. Arriving back in the UK and keen to get cracking and start up SANS MATIN as it then became, I believe you were under quite strong persuasion from parents to continue with your studies and take up your places at university. You both went on to read degrees in structural engineering with architecture, in your case, and I think Charlie read business with French.
Correct. Yeah.
Having juggled in your final years, university finals with, in fact, setting up a business, you then went on to spend a year in an engineering firm before launching the company in earnest in 2019. 3 years on, and SANS MATIN goes from strength to strength, growing the brand enormously, and have recently broken into the States. And one of the distinguishing features of the company is that you make a charitable donation on every pair of trainers sold. I believe 2% goes to charity, which is quite something. Going back to the start, I guess, do you think you always had an entrepreneurial streak? And if so, what were some of those madcap ideas from the off?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I definitely have. I think both Charlie and I have. So we were at school together when we were younger, up until about kind of 13 years old, and we were constantly coming up with a few ideas, and then moving through to the next stage of education. I mean, I remember constantly coming up with ideas of buying things in, importing stuff from maybe China and trying to sell to my peers and things like that, trying to create a business, or already starting to research trade agreements and things. And we had ideas, Charlie and I, for an education app and stuff like that, based on a subscription model. And then I also had an idea, I mean, way back when, about a kind of seamless checkout experience in a supermarket. So how to essentially use Google Maps within a supermarket to navigate you around, because whenever I go in, I can't find anything I'm looking for. So speeds you around the shopping aisles, you know exactly what you're looking for, weighted shelves, you put it in your basket, adds to cart, out you go, and it's all paid for because it's all connected to your phone. But anyway, so how many years later, Amazon have now done that. So, but that was probably my finest idea back then, and I didn't have the means to go and implement it. But yeah, I think we've both definitely always been quite entrepreneurial, and I think a lot of people have ideas, and we've definitely been those people who've had ideas and wanted to do something from a very young age together. Absolutely.
And if you turn the clock back, how important do you think I mean, for those who are sort of wondering whether to go to university or not, how important do you think it was to continue with your studies and have a degree behind you?
I think it's an interesting one. It completely depends what you want to do. I've got friends who didn't go to university and have been very successful in their careers. And so not all careers need university degrees behind you, but also a lot do. So I think it completely depends on who you are as a person, what you want to go and achieve and what you want to go and do. Now, I know that's a hard thing to say because you may not know what you want to go and do when considering the university applications. But what I will say is, for me at university, so I did structural engineering, and it taught me a lot in terms of practices, problem solving, all of these kind of things, which are great for entrepreneurialism. But more so, you form the most amazing friendships, you get amazing experiences and lots of life learnings. You know, it's that first kind of real level of independence, but you're not having to work in a job and stuff like that. So I would suggest, you know, go to university if you have that option, if there's something that you really want to do. But I'd say as well, if you feel like you're going to university just for the sake of it and there's nothing you're very interested in, or you don't really want to go that much, there are 100 different avenues that you can go down. So it's not essential, but it's completely up to you. But there is no one right way of doing it.
And once you'd got this idea in your head, did you have a very clear vision of the brand and how you wanted to move it forward from the get-go, or was it something that evolved?
It's definitely something that evolves. I think with any idea, it should evolve. If I mean, no idea is that perfect straight out the kind of out the box. So, you know, our initial premise and our idea was creating something that was bridging that gap or redefining comfort and style. So within our kind of higher price point market that we're in, there's no kind of one brand that is both really comfortable and looks fantastic. It's either one or the other in our kind of experience. And that's what we're looking for, a kind of very versatile product, something you can wear to work as much as you can wear to the bar or on a night out or to a nice dinner. So that was the premise from the beginning, which is kind of the core branding that we continue to this day. But I mean, there's been a huge amount of involvement of the brand across the board in terms of what we want to do, who we are, and that's very important as you grow, whether it's a brand, whether it's yourself personally, there needs to be that evolution to, I think, keep going and continue to improve and strive for better things, I guess.
Mm. And I guess actually just thinking about it, I mean, not only has it become universally acceptable now to wear trainers kind of to any and every occasion possible, and also, dare I say it, the working from home thing, again, endorse that. So that's done nothing but help, I guess.
I mean, absolutely. It's incredible. I mean, over the last 10 years, we've really seen that transition and shift from kind of workplace norms, particularly from a clothing perspective and what you're expected to wear. And now trainers are just widely accepted in all kind of areas of the market. So that's really where that gave us a huge kind of backbone to push on with the idea. And, you know, I mean, early stage when we were putting the idea forward to our kind of, you know, family and stuff like that, you know, people who were then going to be potentially interested in helping us out move the brand forwards, we needed to create all of these strategies, all of this market research and stuff like that. So the timing is kind of key sometimes, and it's sometimes being in the right place at the right time. But you know, the markets have moved very quickly, and we were in the right place at the right time to go and try and jump on that. I mean, if we were there 5 years earlier, even better. But you know, things have changed quite significantly, quite quickly.
And I guess going slightly back to our discussion on university and whether or not it has its place, your degree in engineering on paper seems quite sort of left field from what you're doing now. Was it helpful to, but I guess not in the design, but you're also very creative, I think. So I was interested to know whether the year spent in industry was something that you would really endorse.
I think so. So I was sponsored with the engineering firm through unis at Summers. So I did have quite a few internships before. So I think that was with the expectation of going and doing the year in industry. So I had that on there as well. I felt a certain loyalty to them to go and achieve that. Also, having spoken a lot with my kind of parents about the whole situation, is going and doing a startup straight off the bat it's quite high risk, and there's no guarantee of paying yourself a decent salary at the beginning. You know, these things take a lot of time and a lot of work to get things off the ground. So having a full-time job, or at least a well-paying part-time job, is going to be essential, I think, right at the early stages. So, but for me, it was a perfect opportunity. And I think it was really fantastic that I did do it. I mean, it was incredibly stressful, don't get me wrong, working a kind of full 8-9 hour day, then coming home and then working on the shoes until midnight, 1 a.m. for the first kind of year. It was exhausting, but it was very good. And I think the engineering job in itself, it couples a lot of problem solving, mathematics, but then also creativity, as you touched upon. And I think creative problem solving is probably one of the most valuable things you can have in a startup. If you're creating a product or any kind of startup, if it's a subscription model or if it's anything tech, you're constantly solving problems. So I think it has helped significantly for myself.
And I'm interested also, I mean, you're in co-partnership with your cousin Charlie, which is great. And I wonder whether when you're running your own business, do you play to your own skill set? Do you do what you do best and then plug the gaps and recruit others in? Or do you like to have an overview on the whole business?
So I think, again, it's down to personal preference. And I think it's also down to the stage of the company. So at the beginning, obviously, there's Charlie and I in the trenches doing absolutely everything together. So, you know, we take turns doing customer service every other day, which it was fantastic. So we got to know our customers. But when it was our customer service day, we'd be going, oh, no, I don't believe it. So anyway, but that aside, you know, as the company's grown, I think it's very important to surround yourself with people who are genuinely going to be better at certain job roles than you. That's how to run a successful company. So, you know, for example, you know, we have that customer service rep in place now. We've just brought on an FD who's a financial director, And, whilst Charlie studied business and French, I've been good with numbers. We've been writing all of our own cash flows and forecasts, but this guy is amazing. He's got huge amounts of experience, and he's going to help us elevate the brand quicker and better. So it's very important to surround yourself with people who are going to be very intelligent or better at that specific job role than yourself. And then Charlie and I split out. So Charlie does more operations and finance and kind of investor facing meetings. And then I do more kind of the direct to consumer, the everyday runnings of the business. So website, product design, product development, warehouse stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So we have split and played to our own strengths, absolutely. And it's important that, you try and be as efficient as possible when you're small. You don't want to be overlapping job roles. But I think, yeah, it's important to be humble and understand that other people have better skills than you in a variety of different areas. So it's making sure that you're prepared to listen to that.
Sure. And I mean, on paper, certainly as a mother, it sounds unreal that you're working with your cousin and it's family, and he's obviously, the same age and a great mate.
Yeah.
And it sounds very collaborative. What happens when you guys have a difference of opinion, and how do you sort of move forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good question. I mean, the funny thing is, so Charlie and I, we have literally grown up together. We are the same age. We are cousins. And we both say that out of our friends, we don't think we could really do this with anyone else, because it is quite full on. And, we do have these, we disagree about so much stuff. Honestly, it's crazy. And that's because we both care so much. And it's not like we're going, oh, you're wrong, oh, you're wrong. It's nothing like that. If it's an opinion on the design process, or where we should take a kind of product page on the website, we'll both have kind of slightly juxtaposing opinions. And that's great, because it's important to bounce off ideas off one another, because then what it means is then you have a kind of very sensible, calm discussion about it. And then you come to a kind of solution, which is going to be somewhere in between. And I think if anyone is starting anything, you can, of course, there are unbelievably successful solo founders everywhere that you look in every industry. But it is fantastic if you can have someone as a sounding board, and whether that is a co-founder or you get someone in as a kind of CEO or a CFO who you can constantly bounce ideas off. It's really useful, because if you're running away with your own ideas constantly, you can very accidentally end up way over here, when actually, if you have someone else who wants to go over here, you end up meeting in the middle, which generally is the better way to take the business. So it's an interesting one. But yes, we do have a lot of discussions about a lot of things, but they're very, very beneficial for the company.
And I mean, obviously with him in the wings, you can't say otherwise, but would you advocate a partnership rather than having gone solo?
100%. I mean, I could never have done this without Charlie. 100%. He brings so much to the table that I don't. So he has way more understanding of business, and that's what he studied at university. So he was able to teach me stuff, and then vice versa. And I think, be able to learn together and discuss things together, as I just said, is just absolutely essential. Again, you can do it solo, absolutely, but it's very important with anything, whether it's education, whether it's running a company, or whether you're even working with someone in a job role. It's important that, you're working collaboratively and talking to people. And I often find that that's the best way to move forward in a kind of positive direction. Yeah,
absolutely. And Lockie, if you allow yourself, in your bath on a Sunday night to measure success, I mean, is there such a thing? And I guess have you got targets in whether it's turnover, number of employees, sales figures? Have you got sort of targets or benchmarks that you would sort of think, gosh, if we get there, we'll have made it?
It's an interesting question. So the company's grown very quickly. So we scaled up by about 300-400% in 21. And then in 22, we're looking to do another kind of 100%. The next year, we're looking to do another 150-200% growth. So in terms of success, it's very hard, because we're very ambitious with our targets. We have very high 5-year projections, and what we're looking at is certain kind of company valuations and where we're looking to potentially get to, and maybe partner with someone else who will buy out a lot of the company, and we work with them, and then they can enable the next level of growth. But I think personally, the benchmarks which I find very satisfying is number of employees is great, because I like to work with a great team around me. So we have 6 direct employees kind of on payroll, and another kind of 20 who are all consultants, freelancers, etc. But I'd love that team to be about 10 in-house. But I think realistically, it's about the donations to charity, which is important for me. we've donated tens of thousands so far with our 2% promise. And I think, our targets really are wanting to get to that kind of 500,000 donation in the next kind of 5 years, which is where we kind of want to get to, which I guess would be the equivalent of about 25 million in turnover, which is obviously incredibly ambitious, but that's what we want to get to. And the charity aspect is very important for us, as we want to keep giving back. We're not just doing this for us.
And I mean, that is an amazing angle to the business for sure. I'm interested to know, bearing that in mind, and I know that you're also got a very keen eye on sustainability. You also operate within a very competitive market, so margins are squeezed all the time. How do you balance the two?
Margins are squeezed the whole time. It's very true. And as we were kind of talking about before the recording started, with everything going on in the UK right now and very, very tough exchange rates to the US dollar, it makes life a lot more difficult because we pay for our stock in dollars and sell in pounds. So the worse the pound is against the dollar, the worse our margins are in the UK. In the US, it's fine because it's dollar to dollar. But in terms of stuff like sustainability and in terms of charity, because these aspects are very important to us and because we're trying to create such an elevated premium brand, this is all priced into the product before we start. So it's very important to be prepared of what you want your brand to go and be and do and say. So before we started, we went, right, we need a set margin on the shoe. So it's going to cost us this much to make, this much to fly it over or ship it over, and this much to pay for our commission for our manufacturers. That's our landed cost. Now we need to mark it up by a certain amount to then enable us the remaining cash there to pay for stuff like charity, to do pay for the kind of incredible materials that we use, pay for the kind of marketing costs, pay for the overheads, pay for us and stuff like that. And it's a very complex thing, and that evolves a lot to understanding those finances. But yeah, so the sustainable aspects and the charitable aspects are crucial, and so the price point and the product and the kind of how premium the product is built all around to enable us to go and achieve those goals and continue with those philosophies.
And for all those budding entrepreneurs out there, do you think the authenticity of the product is now expected, dare I say it, rather than something that is sort of the cream?
It's an interesting question. I think so. I mean, we all talk so much about sustainability, but there's so much greenwashing going on where people say they have a sustainable brand and they don't really, and people don't really understand what sustainability actually means anymore. So for me, it's all about transparency, and we're actually going through at the moment, reworking our whole website because we want to talk to you more about the process. So, a prime example for us is we use leather in our products. We don't have vegan shoes right now, and we will. But for us right now, all of our leathers are byproducts of the meat industry. So we're actually making sure there's zero waste going on in our products. So because there is this amazing material that is available, we're going to use it. And there's no more harm going to the environment than actually being done. Whereas actually producing maybe a plastic vegan alternative, you're actually adding to the problem rather than just using what's there. Of course, we all need to make bigger changes and move towards a more sustainable future, but there are different ways of doing that. So it's an interesting one across the board, and I think transparency is very important. And yeah, as I said, we're looking to make change across that to make sure that all of our kind of consumers and customers can see and understand what we're doing and how we're doing it, and there's a very good reason for all of these things.
I think it was on social media actually in the last few days, the process behind making a shoelace.
Yeah.
I love that. I thought that was very cool because I think it's great for people to understand the production process behind it and therefore your sustainability journey.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible. So actually, I've just come back from South America, which is where all of our shoes are made in Colombia, in Medellin, which is just the most amazing kind of amazing city. And there's so many passionate and incredibly talented people who work there. And it was just unbelievable. I mean, I knew how a pair of shoes got put together. We've been going out to Colombia for the last few years to develop the brand. But this time I've got a really good insight into every aspect of it. And armed with a million questions, I now know, I mean, every detail there is to know. So this is all in the works now. And we want to pass that journey onto everyone because it is amazing. Mm. And I think going back to your question about, the kind of transparency, I think a lot of people feel that it's essential that a product is being ethically made and stuff like that, and people are looking for sustainable and ethical products. But I still think if you look at a lot of big companies out there and a lot of the shops and brands that people buy from, I still don't think that actually people are acting on that as much. Whereas what we're trying to do is change things and actually tell more of a story and make the whole brand an experience and something you're really buying into, and you're learning and you're adding to the cause, and it's something you're proud to be a part of. That's something we're really looking at, and that's what we want to grow as the business, rather than just a kind of product that you like the look of. It's something that you're so proud to be a part of, and something you get really excited about.
And so for those sort of sixth formers now just starting to embark on this, what would your advice be to someone who's starting to get a few ideas or has got a burning passion, but it doesn't necessarily fit in with the academics that are being encouraged as well? What would your advice be to someone?
In terms of what? In terms of continuing studies, or?
No, sorry. It just I think if someone has got an entrepreneurial idea or some a concept that they're just thinking about,
Sure.
what would you at the moment recommend? What would be the first steps?
First steps, it is an interesting one. So I remember the first steps, we got very excited because we thought we had a concept, then we were like, right, let's design a product and that's going to be it. But the first steps are really kind of, if you have a great idea, it's first researching the market, looking at what's out there, going, do you truly have a niche? That can just be in the UK, or ideally globally is even better. It's going, do you have a niche? And then it's going, right, if I do have a niche, is there a market to fulfill that niche? Is there going to be the people who are going to be able to consume that product? And are they going to be able to scale that? And once you have to do some market analysis, and you have to go and actually start to put together a bit of a kind of a fundamental pitch deck, should we say, yeah, where you're doing your research, you're putting the idea together, you start to get an idea of costings and things. And once the more research and the better understanding of what it's going to cost to make the product, how long it's going to take to develop it, how you're going to bring it into the market. Is that going to, is it going to be shipped from China, or is it going to be made locally? Where's it going to come from? Where are the materials coming from? The more you know at the beginning, the better. And it can take time. There's no point rushing it. I mean, one thing that I would have said to myself at the beginning 100% is just patience. Like, these things take time, and it's going to take a while. You're never going to have it perfect from the beginning, but the more time you spend on anything at the beginning and working hard to lay those really solid foundations, the better. But it's speaking to people, talk to your parents, talk to your people's parents, friends, talk to aunts, uncles, godparents, whoever it is. These people will have ideas or connect on someone who's done something, start something up, whether it's a business, whether it's a product, whether it's a kind of SaaS company. There are people out there who have done it. And at the beginning, it's just time and commitment to kind of research and like laying those foundations. And the stronger they are, the better and the faster you can go.
Very strong advice. So yeah, don't let enthusiasm get ahead of you, I guess.
Enthusiasm is very good. I mean, my God, I'm very enthusiastic. I was kind of right out the blocks. I mean, I was ready to go from 0 to 100, but it's very important to also be patient and wait, and just make sure you've thought around 100% of the problem. So therefore you can actually go and tackle and make and complete 100% of the solution.
Fantastic. Lockie, thank you. Really exciting times for you guys, and I think a huge incentive for those who have got some budding ideas at school to start nurturing and doing a bit of digging around and do some research on them before jumping off the cliff.
Absolutely.
Many thanks. Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.